What's up, loyalties? It's chapter 4. I appreciate all the love y'all showed my granny, man, but let's get right to it.
During the year I spent living back with my mum, I was leaning even more heavily into scouring the internet for answers. It became like an obsession. Most people my age were watching porn. I was on PubMed learning about mitochondria. I educated myself in things like methylation, the building blocks of mitochondria, various immune cells and their functionality, and which supplements could help theoretically bring about homeostasis in my body. I taught myself of the various pathogens that could lead to the symptoms I was experiencing. Around this time, I started ordering medical test kits from private medical facilities. I had a eureka moment when, after posting some poop in a tube to a lab in London, I discovered I had an amoeba and another more benign gastrointestinal parasite called blastohominis. Both could plausibly lead to systemic pain and fatigue. Upon researching the best course of action, I found this doctor in New York who was a world-renowned specialist in treating parasites. Return flights to New York, booked far enough in advance, were a couple of £100 back then. The treatment itself was pretty cheap. I was in no way in a strong financial position, and neither was my family, so I did what I always do when I needed to get money. I wrote and recorded some songs from my laptop from bed. One about getting to New York to find a cure. I sold a modest amount of digital copies to my Facebook friends and my friends and family, just enough to afford a trip. During this time, my symptoms had gotten a lot worse, so the entire visit was a bit of a blur. I remember sitting in a waiting room and struggling to find an inch of wall space that wasn't taken up by the countless medical qualifications and the diplomas attached to it. I half expected the walls to start bragging about their Ivy League connections and debating the latest medical research while us mere mortals waited to be called in. When I was finally on the doctor's table, I was told to take off my clothes and put on a blue disposable paper robe. An old man in his 80s hobbled in, pulled on a medical glove, and proceeded to cover his finger in Vaseline.
Okay, so this is what he meant when he said he got, I don't want to say it, but that's what he was talking about last episode, Lil D.
It's crazy.
Oh, no. You got to get this
Nah.
done when you turn 40, right? The doctor got to stick his finger in your ass. Huh?
Man, no, I'll do it
You
myself.
do, though. You got to get your colon checked, bro. You got to get a finger
check it
stuck in your
myself,
ass.
gang.
Nah, nope. No, you got to get checked, bro, because you got to make sure you ain't got cancer, bro. You got to go through that.
Man, I don't think they did that back in the days.
What the fuck?
That's something new. Niggas want to start checking ass and shit.
My heart sunk. I was pretty sure I knew what was coming next.
Oh, Lord.
I suddenly wished I'd experimented more with my ex-girlfriend. I didn't want to lose my backdoor virginity like this.
No way!
I could have at least done me the courtesy of putting on some Marvin Gaye and lighting some candles. But instead I lay in uncomfortable silence on a brightly exposed operating table, while a firm-handed, overqualified old man inserted his index finger forcefully into my anus. He never wrote to me afterwards. I felt used.
Dude,
Do it to my feel used. Hell no.
Nonetheless, I was officially diagnosed with a parasitic amoeba and given a course of heavy-duty antibiotics to take. I believe it was paramomycin and secnidazole. After the course was finished, I pooped into a tube again, and they confirmed I got rid of the parasites. The constant internal techno raves and gurgling which usually plagued my stomach ceased, but I felt just as crap. And on top of all of that, I started becoming allergic to everything. And I mean fucking everything.
Doctor would have stuck his finger in my butt, I would have shit it. You got what you're looking for. Here. What are you doing back there?
Hell no.
No, that was funny though. I like how you made it funny though in a bad moment. That was funny.
For real. Music and everything.
Dude. The antibiotics had triggered some sort of massive food intolerance reaction. Whenever I'd eat certain foods, I'd get hit with a sudden hangover-like feeling, and my face would swell up. I'd later learn this was something called MCAS, and it was triggered by the antibiotics. This was the first time I felt the crushing defeat of pinning a lot of money, hopes, and time into a treatment only for it to make me worse. I'd felt it to a small degree with every failed herbal protocol, every antidepressant that gave me side effects, but this was on a much larger scale. I almost felt guilty and full of shame for not getting better. I told my friends and family that this was going to be the thing that cured me. Not only did it fail, but I was now unable to tolerate basic carbohydrates, fruits, sugar, high histamine food, dairy, grains, without feeling terrible. I felt pretty crushed about that.
That was Hitch.
Despite this, some tenacious part of me had a perseverance that didn't want to stop looking for answers. I was obsessed with trawling the internet. I strongly believe if I didn't have that tenacity to keep looking after every defeat, I'd probably be dead today. After about a year of living with my mum in North Wales, I got the itch, and I decided that I'd make a bold move to Brighton. Most days I didn't really have the energy to do much other than short walks, but I had a friend over there who lived with Emmy for years. It felt like a safe space, a place of understanding. Being a 23-year-old living with his mother didn't feel very cool either. He had a free room going, and he was a legend. I desperately craved my own independence. After going through the heartbreak of losing love and losing the exciting career opportunity, I needed to feel like I wasn't just sitting in the tomb in Wales waiting for death, even if it was a struggle.
Chat, when did y'all move out? What age? Let me know in the comments.
I made the move. It was a really nurturing space, and it was full of the lunatics of Brighton who would come and go. I was still living in a thick haze, but I was meeting people who weren't judging me for it. With this safety, I was slowly finding my personality again. Despite the comfortable environment, it seemed my symptoms were only getting worse. I started having pretty constant panic attacks. The first one felt like a heart attack. I'd never experienced a panic attack before, so I wasn't familiar with the symptoms. My whole face went numb, and my heart felt like it was about to beat out of my ribcage. I panicked and I phoned an ambulance. They put me in the back, they took all my vitals, and they told me I wasn't dying. I felt disappointed. These attacks would happen pretty habitually every week or so. My symptoms of derealization seemed ever increasing. Derealization is hard to describe to someone who's never experienced it. The closest thing I can come to is feeling like you're on bad drugs. You feel disconnected from yourself, like your soul has been vacuumed out of your body, and nothing around you quite feels real. Everything has an unusual undertone, and nothing feels safe. I remember one night in the first year that I lived with Ben, there was this lightning storm of torrential rain. I went outside and I stood in a t-shirt hoping I'd be hit by a bolt of lightning and it would somehow shock me out of it. Unfortunately, I wasn't on Zeus's hit list that day. This urge to be shocked back into reality didn't really leave me. I remember one day I was walking back from the shops. I found an old analog television in an alleyway that was being thrown out. I can't quite remember the thought process that led me there. I just remember feeling angry, and I decided to smash the fucking pieces out of the TV in the alley. I picked it above my head and I hurled it towards the ground. The screen cracked, but it didn't shatter like I hoped it would. I did it again and again and again until there were large shards of glass lining the street. I saw one about the size of a kitchen knife and I picked it up. It's hard to rationally explain self-harm that's not a cry for help, because this wasn't a cry for help. I'd cried for help multiple times and no one listened. The pain I felt inside my body could never be done justice with words. There's a certain horror, a certain frustration of living in a body that would never give me a moment of peace. I felt constantly alienated. I had no doctors to tell me what was going on. They made me feel like a hypochondriac. There are no combination of words in the English language that can express that pain, that can express that frustration. There's no song I could write that would make you understand. In that moment, the closest and truest way I had of communicating my pain was driving a shard of glass into my chest and dragging it across until the blood was dripping down my body. It didn't hurt very much compared to what was already going on inside of me, and it didn't really help me feel better either, but it was truth, and there was beauty in that. Adrenaline gives you a brief moment of respite, but it wasn't long until I was exactly where I started, just decorated in a little bit more blood than usual. I made sure nobody saw. I didn't want to cause any alarm. I didn't want anyone to be worried. So I cleaned it up when I got home, and then I resumed the life of the undead.
Man!
In the next episode, I'll tell you the story of when I was stabbed by an ancient sword, and when I met one of the most talented people that I know.
Bro, like his body really just against him though. Like his body's against his brain type shit, bro. Like that's really tough, bro. Like he wanna die, but he don't want to kill himself. He want just something to just kill him. It got to that point.
Jeez, bro. Like, I can't imagine just being in pain, aching, bro, every day. Like, just every second or whatever. Just, he can't just sit here like this and just feel like nothing type shit. That's crazy. It's fucked up. To the point where he fucking stabbed himself. And it didn't feel like none compared to what he was going through already. That's crazy.
That's so crazy. Oh yeah, we gonna make these into reactions to songs too though. So we want to get through these chapters with y'all chat. So y'all know what to do, man. Like up, subscribe if you're new.
So, hit that another fella. That another fella. Hey, hit that another fella. That another fella. Yeah, I know what it is, man.
Look though, chat. Hey, I appreciate y'all though. And y'all make sure y'all keep little Brian grandma in y'all prayers too though. She been in and out the hospital. I'll let him tell y'all.
Yeah. Yeah, man. She was on life support. They decreased her oxygen, which is a good sign. So she doing way better. Definitely prayers in the chat.
Prayers in the
She
chat
gonna be
though.
good though.
Appreciate y'all for real though. Love
Most
y'all.
definitely.
We'll see y'all in chapter
So
5. We're gonna make all the last songs into like a reaction too though. We wanna keep it separate though so y'all can actually watch them and not just have to
facts.
worry about getting to the end of the video. But we appreciate y'all. We see y'all chapter 5.